Hi everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to talk about all of the books that I read in November 2023 for my November wrap up. November wasn't my best reading month of the year. I only managed 7 books, which is quite low for me, but I had a very busy month. So we had our anniversary, both of our birthdays, we got a puppy, I got into a reading slump because of Iron Flame, and I will tell you all about that as we get into the books. The first book that I finished in November was Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. This is why I never say authors' names. So this is a fantasy book that is set on a different planet, so kind of sci-fi but not really. This follows a woman called Gideon who is from the 9th planet, or the 9th house, and she is a swordswoman, and she has to work for the lady of the 9th house, who is called Harrow. Harrow is a necromancer, and she is invited by the emperor of this whole solar system to go and try to become one of his super important necromancers, basically. But to do so, she has to pass a series of tests, and Gideon has to go and help her. I only gave this one 3 stars. It was written very weirdly. I don't really know how else to describe it. The writing style was just not to my taste, and I feel like the author was trying to be overly quirky and funny, and the humour just didn't really work for me, and this whole book is trying to be a bit humorous. I didn't really like it. It's not my kind of thing, but I was very interested in the world building and the mysteries surrounding the Locked Tomb, which is the name of this series, and also a location in the book. I didn't really care all that much about Gideon. I liked Harrow, and I'm very interested to follow her in the future and find out more about her past as well, because that's very interesting. I didn't really care for any of the side characters. There were far too many of them, and this kind of dragged, so I only gave it 3 stars, and I think I'm probably going to do a video recap of this because it is very confusing, and the 4th book is coming out in 2024, so I'm hoping to read the entire series up until then and then read the final book when it comes out, and my goal is to do recaps of all of these books. And then I read Iron Flame, and this took me a lot longer than I thought it was going to. I was on holiday from work when this came out, and it still took me, I don't know, 4 or 5 days to read because it was just dense and it dragged. So this is obviously the sequel to Fourth Wing. You probably already know this, and I have posted a whole review for this on my channel, and I have been very conflicted on how to rate it and how I feel about it, because on the one hand I was very interested in reading more about the characters and the world building, learning more about them, and I did feel a bit of a connection to the characters and the side characters as well, but at the same time I don't think this is very well written, and it shouldn't be winning any awards. It's not good. You probably already know Fourth Wing, the first book, is about a girl called Violet who joins a dragon rider school, and she has to pass a series of trials before she's allowed to become a dragon rider and bond with a dragon, and then she uncovers some secrets from the school and about the empire that she lives in. And this picks up directly after the first book ends. I've got a whole recap on my channel if you want to know how Fourth Wing ends, and then I will be posting a recap for this one as well fairly soon. I'm aiming to post it in December. It just depends if I have the energy and time. So in the end I gave this 4 stars, but I haven't actually rated it on Goodreads because I don't think it deserves a 4-star rating. That's just kind of how I'm feeling about the book. Those are like my vibes. I think if I was rating this critically, I'll probably give it like 2. I'm not the most critical reviewer, so yeah, 4 stars maybe for this one, but just between us. I then read Suddenly a Murder, which is one that I picked up in the summer, I think, and I was very interested to read it. I was very surprised to see that it was part of the, or it was nominated for the Goodreads Choice Awards, and this was awful. I gave this one I think 1 or 2 stars. This follows a group of teenagers who, most of them are rich apart from the main character, and they head to a island to kind of recreate a murder mystery party and just have some fun, and it's just not a good book. It's very short for one thing, and so I didn't feel connected to any of the characters because I just wasn't given long enough with them, and someone dies and I just did not care from the start, so that was a sign to me that I didn't like the book, and then I just kind of skim read it, and to be honest I regret purchasing this one because it was awful. It was so boring. Another really awful book was Heart of Flames, and I am so sad to say this because I read Crown of Feathers, which is the first book in that series, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I read that like 3 years ago I think, and really enjoyed it, but this one, nothing happens in it. It's so boring. So this follows a girl who joins a phoenix riding school. Not really a school, but she wants to become a phoenix rider, so she has to pretend to be a boy because only boys are allowed in, and there's also a war going on in this, I guess, country, empire sort of thing. There's a whole lot of history there, and this book only talks about the history of the world and not really current events. There are no current events, nothing happens in this book. So unfortunately I gave this one 2 stars, and now I'm really nervous to read the 3rd book. I honestly thought this was going to be a 5-star series, and I feel silly for purchasing the hardcovers because this one just wasn't good. I didn't really care about any of the characters, the romance was boring, so yeah, I feel awful, especially because I've met the author and she seems really lovely. She signed the first book for me as well, so I feel ridiculous for buying all the hardbacks, and I'm really worried about reading the third book because I don't care anymore. A book that I did really enjoy though, and it basically saved the month for me, was Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I gave this one 4.5 stars, and honestly I'm considering giving it 5 because it's so good. So this is the companion book to Part of Your World. This follows Brianna, who is the best friend of the main character in the first book, and Brianna is an ER doctor and she is set to become chief of the ER medical staff, I suppose, because her predecessor is going to retire. This predecessor then decides to put his retirement on hold because a new guy called Jacob is joining the ER, and the current chief doesn't want to seem as though he is just choosing Brianna because she's like the only one there. So Jacob joining the ER has actually come at a really good time because now it can make it seem like Brianna has some competition and she didn't just get it for the sake of it. Brianna and Jacob then meet and they don't like each other at first, but then Brianna agrees to help Jacob with something. They decide to fake date because Jacob has gotten himself into a bit of a situation, and this book is so good. I don't normally love fake dating because I don't really see the point in it, but Jacob was just absolutely lovely and Brianna was wonderful with like a lot of trauma. So she was also really bringing out my emotions in this book. Yeah, I love this couple. I love this book so much. The only thing I didn't really like is that once these two got together, both in a fake way and in like a real way, because obviously it's a romance book, that's going to happen. Brianna's career wasn't really mentioned again, and her sort of goal to become chief, that kind of got forgotten about amongst everything else. And I feel like maybe the author needed another, like, I don't know, 30 pages just to add a bit more of that in, because it just felt like that once Jacob was in the picture, it was very much focused on their fake relationship and Brianna's trauma, of course, which is fine, but I just wanted some more mentions of her career, and that's the only reason why I not to start off with this one. If I were to reread it, because I think that I will in the future, I might bump it up to 5. And I really hope that Abby Jimenez writes more books in this world or related to these characters, because I love seeing the little connections, and I think all of the characters here are wonderful to read about. So I'm really glad that I found this one and picked it up from the library. And then I gave The Villa 2 stars because it was boring. I have nothing really to say about this one because I was so bored the entire time. This follows 2 childhood best friends who have grown up together, and they're both now authors, and one of them, Chess, is really overshadowing the other one. The other one, whose name is Emily, is having a hard time because she's broken up with her husband or boyfriend, and she's really struggling to write the next book in a beloved series, and the fans don't seem to love the idea of it. Her latest book didn't do so well, so they decide to go to a villa on holiday to write their next books. And in this villa, someone was murdered back in the day, and this book is told in dual timelines. There's flashbacks to the build up to the first murder, and then you're also following Chess and Emily as they, I don't know, spend time together and try to work out their issues. However, the dual timeline didn't work very well because this book is so short. It's 270 pages, and that's just not enough time for a dual timeline book. I didn't like how the mystery sort of led into the present day and how it all related, and I didn't like either of the characters, so this one was so boring and I just did not care. So I would not recommend this one. I'm really disappointed that Rachel Hawkins has done this to me because I've been praising her for ages now and talking about how I really love her as an author, and now this is a dud. And then the final book that I read in, what month was it? November. I listened to as an audiobook. I don't really listen to many audiobooks nowadays because I don't really commute that much, and when I do commute, my husband is in the car and we tend to listen to podcasts instead. But I did listen to this one. It's called The Unthinkable. It's a non-fiction book about how people react in moments of crisis, in like extreme events. For example, it covers how a few people reacted to the plane hitting the Twin Towers if they were inside the building, and various like crushes and stuff. It was very interesting. It just didn't really tell me anything that I didn't already know. And to be fair, I do listen to a lot of like disaster podcasts and stuff, and watch a lot of disaster or like tragic event videos on YouTube. So I think if you're interested in that kind of thing and you're not sort of well versed in that kind of genre, maybe you'll like this book. But I only gave it 3 stars because it wasn't anything unique to me, but it was still an interesting read to listen to, I thought. So yeah, I liked it. I gave it 3 stars. And that was my whole November. It was a bit of a dud month. I'm just gonna look up my average rating because it seems like it's really low. Yeah, it's 2.86, which is absolutely horrendous. That's definitely my worst reading month yet, and it's my birthday month, which is just shit. I'm really disappointed. I really hope December goes better because November, well, first of all, it was tiring because obviously we got the puppy and we had like our birthdays and stuff, but most of the month was taken up by the puppy, and I was also working for parts of it. So I had 2 weeks off, then was back at work for a week, then had 3 days off, and those, what, 8 days while I was working were absolutely horrendous. Honestly, probably the worst working month of my life. So I was not having a good time, and that meant because I didn't have any good, well, I had a few good ones, but I didn't have like many amazing reads. I just felt like crap the entire month, and I'm really disappointed, but I am hoping December's going to go better. I've already read a couple of books I have really enjoyed so far. I don't know if you've noticed, I'm trying to upload every other day in December up until Christmas. I don't know if I'm going to manage that for the entire month, but it's looking good for the first couple of weeks so far, at least. It's just really hard to say how that's going to go with the puppy, and I don't know if you've noticed, but I look really tired and exhausted because I'm having to get up really early with him, and he is taking up so much of my attention just constantly. What I am really enjoying though is going for walks with him. We're currently walking him 2 to 3 times a day. If we're walking him 3 times, obviously the walk is shorter because he's only young. But if I'm walking him in the daytime, I go to the park, and I'm quite happy to listen to an audiobook while I'm walking him, so that's quite nice. That's really nice to get out of the house when it's not raining. Even when it's raining, actually, it's been quite nice. I only really go out in the dark with my husband there as well because I don't really like walking in the dark on my own, especially around the woods around here. Not that I particularly feel unsafe, but yeah, I just don't like to do it. So I don't listen to audiobooks during his morning or evening walks, but if I'm going out during the day by myself, I'm quite happy to. So I'll probably listen to some more audiobooks in December as well compared to normal. I've already posted my December TBR, but I don't think I've actually included any audiobooks in there. I think I'm probably going to listen to the sequel to Gideon the Ninth, Harry the Ninth, at least partly as an audiobook, because I do really like the narrator, and she's almost the reason, or she is the reason that I almost gave it 4 stars because she did such a good job narrating it. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's my mini rant, I guess, about how November went and how disappointed I am. Fingers crossed for me that December does go better and I start to look a bit more alive. It doesn't help that I look really pale at the moment as well because there's no sunlight in the UK. We've just come out of a like deep freeze situation where it's been like -6, which is absolutely awful, but it's starting to warm up now and I'm starting to feel a little bit better, although definitely not less tired. So yeah, anyway, all of that to say, November was crap, December should be better, and I'm hoping to post every other day in December, so stay tuned. Please like this video and subscribe if you want to see more from me. I'll talk to you all in the next one, I guess. Bye.